This past week, the wrestling world was shocked by the news that Vince McMahon has been named in a potential lawsuit and criminal charges looming over sex trafficking allegations. Everybody's been talking about it for several days. People are wondering what's going to come out of this. Did he do it, or was he set up, or is the person making the claim potentially trying to get money? Nobody really knows, and we won't know until this whole thing fully comes to a close. Ringside News is reporting that Vince McMahon was removed by WWE over trafficking lawsuit allegations. Ringside News is a source. The link will be in the comments section down below. Go check them out. And keep in mind when I make this video, currently speaking, it's still pending with him being investigated. Basically states Vince McMahon gained widespread attention after facing allegations of sexual trafficking and misconduct from a former WWE employee. Now it appears McMahon has been removed from WWE over the allegations. And it basically states that this prompted Vince McMahon to resign from WWE and TKO for good. Well, speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer highlighted the contrast between Vince McMahon and his recent departure. Basically states it's funny because the bad news does short-term help the ratings. We've seen that before. At least that's when it comes to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon's bad news, you know what I mean? After bad news may not. But when it comes to Vince McMahon, if it does, it is very interesting, and I'm not surprised, and I don't think anybody should be that when you compare and contrast the first time Vince McMahon quit and this time. The first time Vince McMahon quit, they built the whole show around him. They had Stephanie McMahon out there, a big goodbye, the whole bit. Now, I'm no Dave Meltzer fan, obviously, but I will say there might be some truth to what he is saying. It is surprising. We all never saw this coming, although we're not surprised that it's going on because many of us, we know that Vince McMahon's past is not a good one. He's had decades of bad decisions. He's had blood on his hands. He's had scandals come out. You really got to look at that and wonder if that's really going to hurt his chances at clearing his name. And I'm not taking sides in the whole thing because I don't know all of what's going to happen in the months and weeks ahead. But creatively, we've all been very, very frustrated with Vince McMahon. We've all been tired of him. We were tired of his lackluster creative. A lot of his ideas were sinking WWE. His whole bringing past part-timers back to the company for main event spots and ignoring the roster, not utilizing stars for tomorrow that are the future, continuing to push these past part-timers and pretend that they're still as young as they were years ago. This was one of the many reasons why WWE was criticized. And this only hindered fans to go watch AEW. But as many of these problems continued to happen, it became more and more apparent that more was going on than what we were being told. Vince McMahon has done a lot of things in the past that have irked a lot of wrestling fans, and myself included. The Montreal Screwjob. Making wrestlers work banged up and hurt when they should have been retired from the ring. Pushing the same people at the top over and over again. But I think the one incident that really will stay with me forever is the night that he left the pay-per-view going after Owen Hart had passed away. And while WWE has really come a long way and they've gotten all PG-like and they have really done a lot, we have to remember that people have really gotten involved with WWE, have ended up revealing some really alarming stuff. And this employee who claims that Vince McMahon did all this stuff, I'm just saying if it happened, then I honestly think that it's probably going to cause WWE to lose a lot of viewership. I think a lot of fans out there that are mainly children are going to be told by their parents to no longer watch WWE. I think that it may even lead to people potentially quitting their jobs and leaving and going elsewhere. How could you really work in a company off of the stuff that's going to be possibly revealed that Vince McMahon did. I mean, at what point do people finally realize working in a company like that would not be possible because of the affiliation of Vince McMahon and what came out about him? I really don't think a lot of people are going to stick around. They're going to try and get out of their contracts. I mean, if it doesn't happen, I mean, I understand that people don't want to be in the midst of it, and maybe they want to finish their careers in WWE after working so hard to get there. But there comes a point where there's got to be a moral code involved in this. I mean, sex trafficking is a very, very serious thing. There really is going to be repercussions if it does end up being proven true. And I'm not saying it'll be proven true. I'm just saying you've got to look outside of your love for WWE and realize there comes a point where we need to stop being wrestling fans and stand up for what we believe in. I think that a lot of people will actually stop watching WWE permanently. I don't know where I'm going to stand on it because, again, I don't want to make any hasty decisions before this whole thing finally comes to a close. But then we got to look at this woman's claims and wonder, is she telling the truth? And if it's not one of these get-rich schemes, because there have been cases about people doing that in the past, sue happy nut jobs, people that obviously will go to any level to collect money if it means smearing somebody. I mean, we've all seen that in Hollywood, and we've seen that with a lot of other cases. So if it does happen where this woman ends up getting caught being a liar, I mean, I could definitely see that too. You got to really explore both possibilities. But coming off of the stuff that's come out about Vince McMahon over the last few years, especially, it's becoming more concerning that more and more stuff keeps coming out. And while he's not in the company anymore, it makes me wonder what other stuff is going to come out. I mean, all this stuff really, after decades and decades of him running WWE, we're learning that Vince McMahon has a very dark past. But him getting removed from WWE, it's really difficult if they're doing it because they don't want the publicity, or they're doing it because they don't believe the situation, or maybe they're doing it because they know more than what they're telling. I don't know which. It could be any one of those things. I will say that it's going to be very interesting when we learn more about this. And again, I want everybody to just wait out the investigation and then make an assessment, because how many times did we think Vince McMahon was guilty of something, and then we find out in the long run that it was nothing more than just a fake story, or if it was just a false accusation? There's still a possibility that we might see something come out of this that proves that this never happened. But if it did happen, there's going to be a backlash. I'm expecting wrestling fans to automatically not watch WWE anymore. And I think that if it really comes down to it, and I haven't made my decision yet, but if it does happen, I have considered boycotting WWE completely after the investigation comes out, because again, it could go either way. I don't know about any of you, but I'm at the point where I'm 50-50 on the situation. And if I do boycott watching WWE, I mean, it wouldn't be fair because the performers are there to entertain us. But again, as I've said before, you've got to put aside your love for wrestling and realize that there comes a point where you can't watch something after something so hideous is being revealed. And I think a lot of people really need to understand that this would be the thing that finally makes wrestling fans think we can't watch WWE anymore. And then, if it happens, it happens. So with Vince McMahon getting removed, do you guys approve of it? Tell me in the comments section down below. Tell me what you think, and take the time to comment. And remember, guys, to keep an eye on smashing the bell, get notified of all my videos, and tell me what you think in the comments section, guys. Do you think this is the right thing for WWE? And I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.